Okay, so what we're going to do in this program is we're going to add Luigi to the screen, and we're going to move him around the screen and encourage him to be able to detect the edges. So basically, Luigi won't be able to run off the edge of the screen by the end of this program. What you'll notice over here is that I have imported 2 new pictures in. These are both on my classroom website, so I'm going to ask you to go to my classroom website and then take those and put them into your program, and then unpause the video and we'll move forward. Okay, so if you'd like to leave the code in here, you can. I'm going to delete out everything I added in the previous program just to kind of clean up what it looks like a little bit. So just delete out what we added, don't delete out anything else. So I'm just deleting out those 5 objects and variables. And here I'm going to add in 2 more. I'm going to add in my texture 2D object called Luigi. And then I'm going to add in a rectangle object called Luigi Rect. So I've added those in. This is going to hold the picture of Luigi, and this here is going to give the picture of Luigi dimensions and a location. And from here, I'm going to come down to initialize, delete out the vector I had created, and replace it with my Luigi rectangle, which is going to be a new rectangle. And I already looked up the dimensions here. We're going to put it at location 100, 100, and then it's got a width of 80 and a height of 94 pixels. So I've already looked that up for you, so you don't need to. And from here, we go down into load content, delete out the font that we no longer need, and now we're going to add in our Luigi picture as instead. So this .content.load, we're adding in a texture 2D object. This texture 2D object, if we look over on the right in the Solution Explorer, is luigi.png. And then we're going to add a semicolon there. And from here, I'm going to come down into update, and I'm going to delete out what I currently have. And I'm going to add in the keyboard this time to move Luigi around the screen. So we have keyboard state object called KB is equal to keyboard dot state with no parameters. And then I'm going to add in my Luigi movement, and this is all things that we've seen before. So here, if I have if, okay, KB dot is key down, I'm looking at the keys dot, we can do up for the up arrow if we want. If that's equal to true, then I want my Luigi rect.y value to decrease, because remember, decreasing y makes it actually go up. Then I'm just going to copy and paste these and change them to match how I want Luigi to move. So here, if I have a movement that goes down, Luigi, this is going to increase his y. If I have something that's going to the left, that's going to decrease his x coordinate. And then if I have Luigi going to the right with the right arrow, it's going to increase his x. So this is getting the keyboard settings, and this part is moving Luigi up. This part is moving Luigi down. This part here is moving Luigi left, and this part here is moving Luigi to the right. So we have all of that code in there, and then if we go down into draw, we're going to not use draw string, but we're going to use spritebatch.draw, and we're going to put Luigi in there with his Luigi rectangle, and then with the color dot white. So now if you start your game, what you should notice is that Luigi will appear on the screen, and we can move him around using the arrow keys. But the problem is right now he goes off the screen, and that's not really what we want him to do. So kind of explain to you what's happening is Luigi is free to move wherever. And what we're going to do is we're going to restrict the area in which he can move. So remember that the dimensions of a picture are always, the location is determined by the upper left-hand corner of the rectangle. So really we're going to restrict where the upper left-hand corner of the rectangle can be. So if you look here, these are the areas where we want Luigi to move. We want Luigi to move when his upper left-hand corner is bigger than x, so that means bigger than x going this direction, and bigger than y, 0 going in this direction. So bigger than x is 0, bigger than y is 0. That one's a pretty easy requirement. Then here, if we think about it, if we move Luigi all the way over to the right, we want Luigi to completely display on the screen. Luigi has a width of 80 pixels, and remember his location is determined by the upper left-hand corner. So really we need Luigi's movement to stop about here, which is 800 minus 80, so at 720 pixels. That's where we want him to stop. So that's what we're going to program. Those are the restrictions we're going to put on his movement. Then from here, you can see, okay, well, y is less than 480 minus 94. Why is that? Well, if you think about it, his upper left-hand corner, again, he has a height of 94. We only want him to go to here, so his upper left-hand corner can only have a y value of 480 minus 94 to bring that upper left-hand corner to here, which is 386. So we're going to basically create a very large if statement around all of these movements. So if we go back in and we go back up to his movements, I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. But here we're going to put a restriction around his movements, and we're going to say, okay, if Luigi rectangle dot x, it has to be bigger than 0, and the Luigi rect dot x has to be less than or equal to 720. So it's got to be trapped between 0 and 720. And then from here, the y coordinates, Luigi rect dot y has to be bigger than or equal to 0, and Luigi rect dot y has to be less than or equal to 386. So you can see all of these conditions in here. Luigi's rectangle x coordinate has to be greater than 0 and less than 720. Then his y coordinate has to be greater than 0 and less than 386. And if you're very careful with how you do this, now if you press enter and then you add in one of the brackets, and then you go down below and you add in the bracket around all the movement, you can automatically indent that in. So here I now have my conditional, and it's stating that when these conditions are met, when Luigi is in one of these regions, he can move. And if he's not in that region, he can't move. So now if I start the video again, you'll notice I can move him around, and if I get to a bound, he stops. The problem is the way that it's programmed, he now stops moving completely. So what we're going to do in the next video is we're going to talk about how we fix that. What's actually happening, and how do we prevent that from taking place?